Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. So guess what? We haven't posted in a week. I haven't posted
Oh,
because I didn't record my single episode to
it
fill the
is.
gap, which means there's been a week without us. It's been two weeks without us,
Why?
actually.
I hope they missed us.
Yeah, hopefully. If not, it's okay. Completely understandable. But, hi. I've been tired. Yeah. But hello, welcome to Budding Bromance, episode 13, since I didn't make another one, right? So
Yeah.
13. How have you been? Do you have anything to say?
Just chilling.
Considering that we're on a podcast.
Well, I mean, no, not really. To be
No.
honest, like I've just been doing things. Stuff and things. The weather's been awful. I hate warm weather.
Yeah.
If you like warm weather, you're a
Dude.
psychopath.
Yeah, it's so gross. Warm weather's okay, right? It's pleasant when there's a cool breeze to balance it out.
Yeah.
In Southeast Texas, it's warm but humid and gross and muggy, and it
is
feels
a swamp.
Yeah, it is. Wasn't Houston, like the Houston area, like a
It's
swamp, anyways?
yeah.
And we just built on top of a swamp.
Yeah. We built on cursed land.
Actually, though, dude, it sucks. It's really bad. It's raining right now, and while it's warm and humid, so that doesn't help either.
Yeah.
right?
So you have to wear a jacket, or
Yeah.
else you're gonna get wet, and then you're gonna be wet, warm, and humid.
Yeah. Prior
Yeah.
to you showing up, I had to freaking rinse my face with like a wet cloth, right?
Yeah.
To make sure I could like get all the grease and like sweat that's accumulated on my head over the course of the day just off before
Mhm.
recording, so I'm not shiny, right? So
No, I feel that.
yeah, we're both a couple of
Shiny
both-
boys.
both a couple of shiny, damp boys,
You know what we can
soggy
talk about?
boys. We're a couple of soggy boys.
You showed me the short film right after the last podcast.
Yes,
A
I
Portrait
did.
of God.
Yes, Portrait of God.
That was awesome. That was terrifying. I don't know. It was like, what were we saying last time? What were you saying last time about it? You were saying, oh, we'll talk about it more.
I don't. I'm gonna be honest. It's Oh, you know what? We didn't even talk about it on the main. It was on the bonus episode.
It was
on
a bonus episode.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't?
Yeah, it was
Was
bonus
it?
episode. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Dang. So yeah, you can't even.
You won't know.
You won't get the reference. You had to be there.
Paid $2.
You had to be there.
It's
I'm
the
sorry.
cool. You got to be with the cool people.
Yeah,
right?
you did have to be there. Sorry about that. But yeah, so we watched the short film after recording our last bonus episode. It was called Portrait of God, and apparently it did like the rounds on TikTok a few months back, but I wasn't aware of that. It was just, it came up on my recommended.
Mhm.
So watched it. I told Nick about it, and after recording the episode, we watched it. It was good. I really enjoyed it. It's by and large one of my favorite like horror short films for
Mhm.
sure. Just because like I'm a sucker for like religious cosmic. Yeah,
Does religion count as cosmic horror? I feel like it does, right? I feel
I'd
like
say
that's
so.
offensive to say, but like it's kind of true.
Well, kind of, because if you're like, you're saying God created everything, it's like he created the universe then.
Yeah,
He created
right?
everything.
He's
right?
out of our world. you
Yeah,
know?
unless you're saying like, it's our universe or our world is the only world that exists,
No.
and the sun and the moon are just spinning geocentrism,
Yeah, we're like
Good old
the
flat
center
earth
of the
theory.
universe.
Yeah, I mean, some people do take it to that extreme, which is crazy, but yeah,
I mean, it's true though. We
It's
are the
true.
center of the universe.
what are you talking about?
Specifically me and you. Like
I'm the
this,
main
this
character.
podcast right now, the entire universe sprung up around it.
Yeah.
Time didn't exist before us.
It didn't, which is why nobody else exists except for me. Nobody else has consciousness. I'm just talking to like, I don't know, a part
it's
of me.
time to wake up. Your family misses you, Sergio.
And just snap out of the matrix.
Sorry, let me just go back into character. Sorry. Glitch happened.
Just play your part. Play your part. Stop. It's too real.
You're gonna start hearing like knocks on the door, like y'all are right in there,
Yeah. And you just hear like a little beep.
I'm gonna start like
Monitor.
seizing and like yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Maybe in the, some other episode
Mm-hmm.
eventually. I'll
Potential.
actually.
Oh.
What fell? Oh, nice. I'll break out.
You'll break out with
I'll break out by signing up to not Hustlers University. It's called something else now.
They
He
changed it?
rebranded it.
Scammers University. I don't know.
Yeah. The what do you call
Alpha
it?
University.
The not even alleged like sex trafficker at this point. Just like
Sex trafficker.
yeah, just sex trafficker. I forgot what he called it though. He called it the real world.
the real.
He said
world.
join the real world, and
Uh.
it's so bad, dude. It's so stupid. Anyways,
Somebody
yeah.
needs to Minecraft him.
it's okay. He's whatever, you know.
Mhm. Have you seen The Legend of Zelda, the new one?
Yes.
What is it called?
Tears of the
TOT?
Kingdom.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Have you seen like the physics engine in that and all that?
I haven't.
It's crazy.
I know people are building things in it.
Yeah, it's got like a whole it's I don't know, it's legit just like a physics engine. It's kind of like Kerbal Space Program if it was like in Zelda or something, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the main focus of the game, but it's one of the main mechanics.
Yeah.
And I see the things people are building. It's crazy.
People, I saw one thing because okay, so I've been getting into and I'll talk about this I guess because it's been like one of my fixations. Armored Core. You know what Armored Core?
Oh yeah.
Right. So
I've been
the
people who made Dark Souls.
Yeah, I've been kind of getting into that, so I'll talk about that for sure for like maybe half an hour.
Oh yeah,
Who
for sure.
knows?
Let's do it.
No, not I'm not. I wouldn't try to, but it might just accidentally happen. But yeah, so friggin' I was looking at a post and then somebody said, "What do you mean Armored Core 6 is already out?" Because I saw a post. It was like 100 days to Armored Core 6 now, right? 100 days. And somebody underneath commented, "Hey, what do you mean it's already out?" And then they posted a link, so I clicked it, and it was a Twitter post of somebody in Tears of the Kingdom who'd built like an entire little mech just there, and I was like, "What?" Because I haven't really seen much gameplay. All I know is that people can like just build things, do fun stuff in there, and I just saw that. So
yeah, no, I mean, I just saw people like engineers just building cars. They were like built a 4-wheel all-wheel drive axis suspension vehicle that can go all terrain or something, and like. I just saw developers talking about it too. They were like, wow, this is really impressive. Like, you'd be able to build an engine that can handle all this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Armored Core. I don't know anything about Armored Core, but I do know it's made by the Dark Souls people.
Yeah, From Software.
Yeah, and I remember reading the Twitter replies when they released the trailer for the new one, and all the replies were like, so is this like Dark Souls? Is this going to be like Dark Souls? Like,
is this like the Dark Souls of mecha games?
It's like Dark Souls with guns.
It's Dark Souls with guns, dude. Come on.
No, like, everybody was like, no, not this one.
Mm-mm.
But I don't know what it is. Is it really the 6th game?
It's not the 6th game because there's been plenty more Armored Core games than just 5. I don't know whether or not they're just like DLC or like expansions or anything or like entirely separate games because I haven't like delved too deep into like the entire like not like discography but like library of games.
Yeah.
Right? But I have been playing Armored Core 2 recently.
Oh, okay. So how old is that? Like 1990s?
I think it was made 2000. I'm pretty sure it came out 2000. So it's 2 years older than me. Which is a little weird to say, but I just got an emulator for for the PC. Yeah, I downloaded the ROM and then legally I bought the game legally totally.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, don't sue me, Sony, please. And started playing it. It was fun. It's been fun. Except I think what most people I guess unanimously agree on is like one of the hardest one of the hardest boundaries to cross to play in the game, gameplay wise is the control scheme. So it's not just like like the PS2 did have analog sticks. It did have dual analog sticks, but
it's a modern controller.
But it was still using the same control scheme that the original one did. That was on the PS1 that didn't have analog sticks at all. So to move forward and backwards, you use the up and down on the D-pad. But instead of moving left and right with the D-pad as well, you turn to the left and turn to the right with left and right on the D-pad. So you like go forward and can turn left kind of and go whatever. But to actually move physically left and right, you have to use the bumpers. So left bumper, right bumper while you're turning and going forward. It's a really kind of weird dynamic.
Yeah.
And then X on the Xbox controller. So I don't know what that'd be like on
Square.
Yeah, so square is to fire. Circle would be to use your left hand weapon, which is like either for Armored Core 2 at least is like an energy sword or a shield. And then triangle or Y would swap out weapons on your right hand, and then you use the A button or X to jump.
Okay.
And so it's like it's fine. Like the actual fighting mechanics are okay. It's just the maneuvering which is difficult. It is super cool though. It's really fun. I've had a good time. The arena is cool because it's just like a bunch of like AI like it's just computerized enemies, but they all have like little like backstories or whatever, and they have like the whole. I guess one of the big draws of the game is customization because even back in 2000 there were so many different like customization options, kind of like I guess a precursor to Fashion Souls, where you could just like make a cool design, and it's like that this is like the rule of cool. This is like this is
rule of cool.
The rule of cool, right? Like maybe it's not the most effective, but it looks awesome.
Yeah,
even Armored Core had that. It's super cool, and I just I really enjoy customizing and like because the stats are so freaking deep for no reason. Like they're very you can do so many things with it, and people have, especially with later games, made entire builds and have named them and like like posted videos about them and just like showcased, and it's really cool, really fun. I'm really excited for Armored Core 6. Genuinely very excited now.
Are they connected, or is it like a anthology,
I
like
don't
Dark
think,
Souls?
I don't think it's an anthology. I think it's no, maybe it doesn't take place in the same universe.
Does the character transfer over? Like, if I just jumped in at 6, would I need to play 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
I mean, you wouldn't have to. I don't think story-wise you'd have to play because the stories, for the most part, have always just kind of taken the same stance where it's like, oh, you're just a mercenary doing the company's bidding.
So it's like Call of Duty stories, where it's just like a different person every time.
In a way, yeah. Except your characters can transfer over. Like the cores themselves and your save files can transfer over, even though canonically I think that isn't the same person, not the same character. It's weird. But still, yeah, super cool. I've been having fun with that, enjoying it. Just I've had a really good time so far playing it. It's been kind of a time sink. That's
with your tank controls.
Yeah, with my weird controls. But regardless, fun and yeah, I've said cool like 40 times, but. Cool, right?
It's the way you're talking about it reminds me of the way people talk about like old Resident Evil. Where they'd be like, well, the controls are like you got to like turn in a weird way and you got to aim in a weird way, but it has like charm. Is that what it is? Like it has a charm to
I think so. I also feel a little weird about it because it doesn't really carry any nostalgic weight for me. I don't have like rose tinted glasses about it because I didn't know about, for like most people, the Armored Core franchise until like a few months ago when they released like the teaser trailer or whatever.
Yeah.
And I never played the PS2.
Okay.
So I don't have any like fond memories or anything. It's just like I just like it. I think it's cool. I like big robots, okay? I like mechs. I'm keeping in line with mechs and robots and poof 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 right? Like awesome freaking cool sci-fi things. I watched the first episode because I finished Evangelion like a month or two ago now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And I wanted like a fix for big mechas, right? So I watched the first episode of like the really old like either 70s or 80s show, Mobile Suit Gundam, like the very first one that started
like the actual Gundam.
And I watched the first few minutes and I was like, okay, this kind of feels like a little 80s Transformery where it's like it's just used to sell kids toys, even though like I mean, like. I'm not saying who cares because like that's kind of like pretty insidious or whatever, but I love Transformers. Big robots go poo poo and they never die. So I thought that's what this was going to be like. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to stick to it because Transformers, like I can make an exception because, I've loved that franchise ever since I was a kid. But now I don't know if that would, hold me. And then I watched like 10 minutes into the show and people are dying. Civilians are being murdered. And then like the entire episode finishes and I was like, holy crap, this looks very Transformers-y from the 80s, obviously, because they were both cartoons. But it was definitely trying to tell, like, even just the first episode, it's like, it's taking itself, like, a little more seriously, or, like, dealing with, like, heavier themes than the original Transformers ever did.
Yeah.
Except for the movie. The movie did deal with, like, death and, like, all this stuff, but this is just right off the bat, like, just... the main character, the dude who pilots the Gundam, I guess, being like they're dead.
like everyone I know.
Yeah. I don't know if it was like maybe a little self-aware and like starting off very light and casual and then all of a sudden just like, oh hey, there's people being killed by a freaking, by like a military. I don't know if it was like a militia group or it was like itself like a government entity. I'm not really sure, but it was crazy.
Oh wow. That sounds messed up.
Yeah. So I might watch more of that, maybe.
Yeah, I hope you do.
Yeah. I was debating whether to start with like the newer one, like the Iron-Blooded Orphans, I think is what it's called. It's a movie, I believe. Because that one's, more modern, that's more like flashy, more like, going across like awesomeness. But I just decided to take a chance on the original one, see what it was like. And I'm pretty pleasantly surprised. So I guess I'll finish that up maybe. But yeah, it's just I love big robots. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, new Transformers movie coming out.
Yeah,
how do you feel about that? Do you like the? Have you seen the reboots like Bumblebee and all that?
I watched Bumblebee. I think I only watched it in a hotel, if I'm being honest.
Okay,
but I still liked it. I
heard it was like one of the best ones in the franchise.
Definitely better plot wise
than what?
than the last two Bayverse movies.
Dark Side of the Moon and
No, not Dark Side of the Moon. Age of Extinction and The Last Night.
The Last Night. That's what
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last Jedi.
The first three initially were fine. Like Dark Side of the Moon did deal with just like it was like very explicitly just like, you know, portraying war crimes being done by the Transformers like every other minute.
Yeah.
But
As they should.
yeah, it was still fine, you know, it was still fun and I did enjoy it. But then Age of Extinction, it was a little like took a bit of a left turn, I guess. And then The Last Night just kind of took it. I don't know, it just did like a complete 180 from the initial films, like entirely. Not even just story wise or like, you know, not even realistic wise, just I guess what you would come to expect from the movies, but also the designs of the Transformers themselves. Like they just kept like making, especially Optimus Prime, look more and more human every rendition.
I did notice that he looked a little strange by the end.
Yeah,
he didn't really look like an 18-wheeler.
No, he just looked like a dude.
Yeah, just some giant,
just
mechanical.
a big mech, you know, just a big mech at that
mech
point.
suit, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't know. I saw the designs for Bumblebee though, and Bumblebee looks awesome. And I keep seeing the trailer. Optimus looks cool in the trailer for it.
He does.
He's very like square again. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he has that thing where it goes, like, you know,
crap.
The mask. I don't know what it's called. I guess armor. You know.
Yeah, it's because COVID's going on.
Yeah,
The movie.
it looks really cool. Like he'd be like, "Let's do this," and it's like,
yeah,
you know?
it's freaking awesome, dude. Robots are so cool. God, I love robots. I love robots. Did you ever watch BattleBots?
No.
No, I didn't really watch it either, except for whenever I was in the hospital. Like when I was 12, I think is when I was in the hospital. I turned 13 in the hospital, actually.
Oh wow.
13th
That is
birthday I
so
spent
sad.
in the hospital. It's okay. So I think BattleBots was like being rebooted while I was in the hospital. Like it was like the first few episodes were coming out while I was in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did get a chance to catch them because I had nothing else to do since I was just sitting in a room. But it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was cool. It reminds me of a kind of wimpier version of Real Steel, which I also watched while I was in the hospital.
Okay.
I loved. How do you feel about Real Steel? Have you seen
Never
it?
seen it.
Never seen it?
I don't watch a lot of mech stuff. I feel like for me, like mech stuff falls into like fantasy, right? And before Neon Genesis, I wasn't that. I mean, I'm not that big into fantasy, anyways. But like, I wasn't a big fan of mechs. I like mechs now. Like, I think they're okay. You know, like I feel like a lot of it's very a lot of the same. But I mean, you could say that about anything I watch, really. You know.
Yeah.
But it's just, I guess it's just not for me that much. I think Neon Genesis is the only thing I've seen with mechs. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. And they're not even technically mechs. If you want to get into it,
I didn't even really finish Transformers. They're like their own alien beings.
Yeah, they are.
They just let them be controlled, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I didn't finish Transformers 1, but that's the only other thing with like, I guess you can consider mechs.
Yeah, I think the barrier for considering things as mechs is like they have to be piloted, and Transformers aren't piloted.
Godzilla. Kong versus Godzilla, to be more specific, with the mech Godzilla.
Oh yeah,
I've seen that.
The Mecha
I've seen that.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
That's true.
That was pretty all right. I like seeing that.
Yeah,
He looked cool.
Whenever
And then when they both teamed up, they were like,
exactly.
They were like,
I was about to
bros.
say, I was about to say, like, spoiler alert, I guess,
Oh,
for like a
Kong v Godzilla.
5-year-old movie now. 5 years?
Yeah, 3.
5?
No, it's like 4 years. 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Oh dang.
But I mean, yeah, that movie was fun. Like, eventually, like, they just stop fighting when they see the mech because the government's like, bring in the mech. And they stop fighting and they're like, bros. And it's like, bros. And they
almost
just beat up
killed
the
you.
mech suit. Yeah. They're like, hey, good fight. Next week, you know?
Next week, yeah. I'm really glad I didn't kill you. Actually, if not, I'd be dead too. Anyways.
And now we're getting a new one. What is it? King of the Monsters or something?
Really, I thought King of the Monsters was like the first one that came out.
Never mind. We're getting a new one for sure, though. They're teaming up again. I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe they're gonna fight. It's round 2. You know.
I think my favorite kaiju.
Kaiju. Yeah.
Kaiju from that film, or just in general, like from the MonsterVerse or whatever they're trying to call it, is Mothra.
Mothra. He like gets owned in like the first few seconds he's on screen, doesn't he?
Or
like Godzilla just lasers him, right? Like grabs him by the wings.
Does Godzilla just? Because I thought they were supposed to be like the queen of the
never
monsters
mind.
or whatever. Right?
I never saw that one actually. I'm lying. I've only seen the 2014 one. There was one in 2014, wasn't there? Like another kaiju.
I only ever saw the most recent one. I only saw the most recent one.
Yeah, 2014 was the one I was telling you. I was like, because it's from like the normal people's point of view.
Oh yeah, and then whenever there's like Godzilla freaking stomping on cities and
then
stuff.
you see like the glowing of the tail, and you like we know what it is now,
Yeah.
but like back then we were like, what is that? And you just hear like and, like all the windows like shatter from like the
pooping themselves.
Yeah, honestly, I'd be like, I'm not doing that. That was really cool. I think you should watch 2014.
Maybe.
Still,
I probably should.
in my opinion, the best Godzilla movie. It makes him actually scary, you know, and rather than just like a huge like
a big lizard.
that like, knocks down like millions and kills trillions of people every day, and people are like, oh, let them fight. You know,
he's trying to save us, man. Come on.
No, like
cut him some slack.
Yeah, 2014's like, bro, no, we got to take this guy.
What's going on?
Yeah, my legs, you know,
my legs. Oh, poor SpongeBob guy.
Yeah,
he was probably the first. He was probably Godzilla who crushed his legs. Think about it.
My
came
favorite,
from the sea.
My favorite kaiju is Gamrio.
Who's that one?
He's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. There's an archetype based on kaijus. They're pretty meta.
Interesting. I could see that for sure.
Yeah, you tribute your opponent's monster. So like you can only bring a kaiju. You have your field and your opponent's field, right?
Yeah.
You can only have your kaiju on the field if your opponent has a kaiju, right?
Oh, okay.
But all the kaijus have an effect that it's like you tribute your opponent's monster and then give them the kaiju. So it's good removal. I know it doesn't make sense. It's good removal, right?
Wait, how? But if you're getting rid of theirs and giving them yours,
well, usually the kaiju that you're giving them is the weaker one. So you'll have like 2 in your hand, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to give them the stronger one. So you tribute yours. You tribute their monster and give them the weak one.
Yeah.
And then you summon the strong one, and then you beat their kaiju down.
And then you summon the strong one, but you can only summon it if the other person has one in.
Yes.
So then you just like so you would have to summon one with the effect that removes theirs.
No, they all have that effect. Every single one of them has the effect. If your opponent controls a monster, you have to summon it to their side of the field. Or if you don't have a kaiju, you summon it to their side of the field.
Okay. But then wouldn't that mean like even if you summon a stronger one, you would have to give it to them anyways?
Yeah. Well, so you summon them in an order, right? You know which one you're giving them. It's not random.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're so meta because people don't play pure kaiju, right? Nobody plays that. But the thing is, like, there's other cards in the game that are just immune to everything. It's like 4 million attack points, and it'll be like unaffected by this card. You can't do this. You can't do that. You negate your opponent's thing. Do that. But there's one thing it's impossible to negate in a Yu-Gi-Oh. You cannot negate a tribute summon, and the kaijus tribute your opponent's monsters. So it's like it's the purest form of removal. So that's why they're played because like you can tribute their extremely strong monster. They're just kind of like
like a decently strong one that you could take care of anyways.
Yeah. A decently strong one that doesn't have an effect, that won't negate your things, that doesn't destroy you as soon as you step in the field. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, I could see that.
But I just think it's kind of cool, like the archetype, because you have to give your opponent a kaiju to summon your kaiju, and it's like, you know, like Godzilla Kong, you know? You can't have a kaiju without a kaiju. They summon each other.
They do. Like, they do, yeah. That is like a whole cliche at this point where it's like big kaiju fight, you know? Like you can't just like fight it alone with like, you know, man's power. You gotta freaking have another one.
It's just a cool archetype, you know?
And it's awesome because it's big things fighting each other.
Yeah, and you're like kaiju, you know?
Yeah.
And you're kind of rigging the game because you know which one you're giving your opponent, but it's just funny, you know?
Yeah. That's why I think that's partially why I take sympathy on bugs. Just because it must be terrifying. I know they can't really comprehend it, right? But it must be terrifying to like be faced with a being, a creature that you're not even the size of their fingernail. You know, of like their small fingernail.
Yeah, we are their kaijus, aren't we?
Right? Like it's just so like they're so tiny in comparison to our entire being. And I just feel bad for them. Like I feel like, you know.
I do have a favorite kaiju. I take it all back. It's not a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's the Cloverfield kaiju. Right? Yeah. Like I think that one's my favorite. It's literally like, you know what I think about? I didn't even think about it. The 2014 Godzilla is just a reboot of Cloverfield, but better, you know?
Because it's big scary monster and it's supposed to be scary?
Yeah, from the people's point of view.
Yeah.
I say like more from the people's point of view kind of thing, you know? But like I guess Cloverfield's like found footage. It's very old now. Like you go back and watch it. It's not the best, you know? But it was like the first of its kind to do that kind of thing of like found footage monster attacking, you know?
Yeah. It was notable because it was like one of the first, aside from like maybe it came after Blair Witch, right?
Yes, it did.
It was one of the first to be like one of the first along with Blair Witch, I guess, to kind of like do a promotional thing where it's like
it built up to it. It's building up to it
with right? with its own website and with its own like kind of world building and stuff.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I went back and I watched it afterwards, like all the leading up to it with like the plant or the it's some sort of company where they're dumping like radiation into the sea basically, and they created the kaiju. So you think, you know, But then they're like talking about like a particle accelerator that went off, and they're like, you don't really know what caused it, but there's like 3 different things that could have caused it, you know? Like, I thought it was really, really clever, you know? But then when I watched the movie, I was like, wow, that's awesome, you know?
They should have called it Cloverfield.
Yeah, it's good though. It's really good. Like, there's a lot of terrifying scenes in Cloverfield because it's not a regular kaiju. Like, I wouldn't say it's like, I would relate it more to if a kaiju had a parasite. That parasite is the Cloverfield kaiju.
Like the fungus, like the fungus from The Last of Us. They can like take control of ants and stuff.
Yes,
in the real world.
That's what the Cloverfield
really?
kaiju is.
So it was like a kaiju that the particle accelerator kind of like messed up then?
Do you want to know like the lore behind it? Because it explains it a little more in the next 2. Well, I guess in the 3rd film, really, not the next 2.
There are multiple films.
There are multiple films.
Wow, I didn't know that.
They're honestly, I like them all. A lot of people hate the second one, and I don't know why. I think it's pretty decent. I don't think it's really a Cloverfield movie though until like the last like 10 seconds of it. You know, it didn't need to be named Cloverfield, but it got the Cloverfield name to sell. So
for sure.
But I mean, I think it's still a good movie all on its own. In fact, a great movie, a perfect movie, even.
A perfect. It was a perfect movie. The most perfect movie.
In fact, I told the guy, I said, "You've never seen a Cloverfield like Cloverfield Lane," you know.
It was everything went well. The marketing was on point, and it was the most perfect. It was the most perfect advertising that anybody could have ever done.
The best trade deal in the history of trade. Anyway, so yeah, like, no, like, do you want me to spoil it? Like, where the actual monster came from?
I mean, it is a very old movie, and I'm pretty sure I've watched a video on the subject before. I forgot who. Like, I used to watch many like ARG adjacent channels that like covered ARGs and covered like horror topics and stuff. Like, I think one was like called Night Mind. Another is like, I don't even know, man. There was so many, but that was like one of the ones that I guess stood out for me. It was another one that was like a cat, posted by like a cat.
I have no idea.
I don't know, but it was cool too. I think I did watch a video that kind of went into the story, but I've forgotten everything at this point. So yeah, sure, might as well, you know.
Okay. Well, yeah, it came from a particle accelerator in another universe going off and just ripping through all realities ever. So in the 3rd movie, they're in space with like, I think it's a particle accelerator. It might be some other jargon term, like fake scientific thing. I'm pretty sure it's a particle accelerator, but they're like talking about it in space, and it's the 3rd movie, so obviously we know it goes wrong, you know. Yeah. But most of the movie, they're like, you know, hey, if this goes right, we're gonna solve all of humanity's problems. You know, like infinite power, resources, right? And most of them, there's like 2 of them that are like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do this. Like, I just looked at the risk factor, and there's like a 1% chance of risk, and like if that happens, like, you know, the universe could implode. Like, we have no idea what could happen, you know. And the others are like, that's 1% though.
Bah humbug! Get out of here, Scrooge. We could, you know,
pretty much, yeah.
They become God.
They're like, we'll do whatever we want, right? Yeah. They activate it, and 1% goes wrong, right? Like, but that movie's not really about the monsters or anything. It's like, it's hard to describe it. It's like, it's just their reality getting warped. Like, for example, like one dude, he like leans against the wall like this while he's talking to somebody, and his arm goes into the wall. He like no clips through reality into the wall, but his arm gets like stuck there.
And it's like painful.
Is
it supposed to be painful?
No, it's not painful.
Oh.
He no clips and then reclips, but like his arm is still
stuck in
there.
The wall. Yeah.
Yeah, so he can't like pull his arm out, you know? There's another one where like I think later on in the movie, his arm finishes no clipping, or the wall no clips him or something, and it like cuts off his arm. And it's like, it's not painful for him because like you see like the stump still has skin. Like it like it like instantly regrows.
It's non-existent basically at that point.
Yeah, like his arm just never existed or something. I don't know. It's like a cool movie. Like that's the 3rd movie. It doesn't have anything to do with kaijus until the end, when you find out. You wanna know? The kaiju from the original movie was teleported from another universe filled with those kaijus.
Okay.
But you know how, have you seen I'm sure you've seen like pictures of the original kaiju, right? Like how big it is.
No, I haven't.
It's taller than like Godzilla, or it's probably about the size of Godzilla, maybe taller, right?
Okay.
You find out another kaiju from that universe got teleported to that world's Earth. They're in space for all the movie, right? And you just see like a foot from the clouds. That they're even bigger. That was a baby in the original movie.
Oh.
That like the one that got teleported to the Earth in the new movie is like an actual full grown thing, and it's like its
crazy.
legs go all the way up to the clouds. Like you don't even see the body, and it's just like you're seeing the clouds and you just see the leg like
freaking Jack and the Giant Beanstalk
basically.
situation.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like you find out they're just like I guess displaced,
That is cool. Yeah.
and like a bunch of other things.
You guys goofed it up, man. You freaking broke space time continuum.
Yeah,
For every multiverse.
the end of the second movie has like different types of things at the end. Like it's not a kaiju, but it's like a different type of thing, and it explains it too because it's like, oh, well, just all of reality got messed up. You know, everybody's everywhere. We messed up it for everyone. You know.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. Oh, and they were saying another thing. In the end, it was kind of like a 100% chance for the particle accelerator to go wrong. Because if there's a particle accelerator in every universe, right?
Then it's guaranteed to go wrong in any universe, which
would mess it up for everyone anyways.
Yeah.
Because they were like trying to be like they were trying to be like, well, was there any way we can just fix this? And then they realized they're like, oh, there's like other universes that made the same mistake. Like there's a bunch of them that went right, you know? But then there's the ones that just messed up.
But the ones that messed up ruined it for everybody anyways because it shattered through every reality.
And it doesn't matter if they fix it because then the other universe will still have it broken, you know?
Whoa.
It's
cool.
trippy like that because you're like, man, like nothing really mattered in the first place, you know? Like, I don't know. There was another movie called Overlord that was coming out around the time of this third one.
Yeah.
And it was made by J.J. Abrams, who made the original Cloverfield. And everybody thought Overlord was going to be like another Cloverfield movie, right? They were like, oh, it's connected. It's connected. I remember seeing theories. I guess not everybody thought, but I remember seeing theories that it's like, oh, it's connected. It was not. But Overlord was still a really good movie. It's like a World War II zombie movie.
Ooh.
So that's why everybody was like, oh, maybe like reality displaced in time and like.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, somewhere in like that multiverse.
Yeah, and zombies just got thrown in, you know? It wasn't. But it was a cool theory. It was a good movie too. I liked it. Very enjoyable. I think the Cloverfield is very enjoyable if you can turn your brain off, because honestly, it doesn't make sense, but it does. You know?
Yeah.
If you just trust what they say at face value when they're like, it went wrong, you're gonna enjoy it. You know?
Okay. Yeah. It went wrong. Okay. Go on.
But if you sit there and you try to like, if you're one of those people who's like, no, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Picking it apart. I tend to do that, which I know is kind of annoying. At least I do it for more like silly things, which I know is really stupid, but I think it goes back to me like having an inherent need to, even when I know somebody's making a joke, respond in a serious manner, despite knowing that it just makes me look like I'm stupid and the joke's going over my head. And I'm just, it's like I comprehend that you just made a joke, and I'm still going to respond in a serious capacity or correct you, even though the whole point is to make a joke about it. And I think that's why even though I know I'm watching like a stupid, like
a goofy little movie,
not necessarily a goofy little movie, but like a drama.
Yeah.
Okay, a drama. I can't help but get frustrated at the characters because of the stupid decisions they're making.
Yeah.
And like point out like flaws or like errors or like whatever. Like, why would they do this? Or like, why would you still be kind to this person? Whatever.
It's not like one of those movies. I don't think it's like decision wise. It's more like the logic. Like I'd say it's like if you pick apart Interstellar, you know those people who like pick apart Interstellar and like, you could never travel in a black hole because it would squash you. Then you're probably not gonna like this one.
Yeah. No, I don't really do that because for me, you know, I'm big into fiction and fantasy and sci-fi.
If you can suspend belief, I think you can watch it because you can suspend belief. And I mean, there's like one bad character decision, but like it's who really cares? You know what I mean? I guess the only other one would be like, oh, there's a chance it can go wrong. Let's do it anyways.
Yeah.
You know?
Which isn't necessarily completely out of the bounds of reality anyway, so it doesn't really affect me too much. You know, I like making up things and making up friggin' science. Yeah. Just like, you know, just for fun, just for the sake of a story.
If I'm not mistaken, that movie, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I only saw it like twice. But if I remember right, they like the other universes tried to warn that universe before they even set it off.
Ooh.
Like there was like their reality was already warping before they even turned it on. Like there was like other things coming, not into their universe, but like I don't know, like a pen or something was like displaced, you know?
Yeah.
And they were like, I would only move this pen if I was trying to warn myself, you know, like, like, I don't know. It was like little things like that. And I was like,
set it off anyways.
Yeah. But then you think about it and you're like, oh, maybe it just got warped because they messed it up in the universe early, you know?
Yeah.
Like it kind of makes sense because you're like, man, like it didn't really matter. You want to be mad at these characters, but you really can't because there's like millions of others of them. You know?
Small part of a greater whole in which they all did the same thing anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then everybody else got screwed because of it. I like to think that this affected every single movie verse ever, you know?
Yeah.
That like any plot hole that you can think of is because of Cloverfield.
It's because of Cloverfield.
That, you know, like, I don't know. What's a plot hole? What's a big plot hole that everyone points out?
I don't know. I usually don't really, my brain doesn't absorb plot holes.
Yeah, I don't really think about it too much.
It's just, you know, whatever happens. Maybe the mic caught my burp. Oops. Whatever happens in a movie happens.
Palpatine somehow returned because of Cloverfield.
Oh,
he just phased through
Palpatine
realities, you know.
Yeah, it's just another Palpatine. Boop, you know.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm back in the future.
This is cool." Like I was just being zapped by freaking. Oh, I was just like about to die at the hands of Windu, and then whoop, I'm here.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
He's like,
So that Star Wars universe got saved.
yeah, for real.
Anakin was saved,
Yeah, except another Star Wars universe got doomed.
and that was the one we watched.
But they still won.
That was the canon one.
That's the canon.
That's the canon one. The canon one was where things went wrong.
Yeah, I want to see the other one where like the Jedi Order became dictators, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, plot holes for me aren't really like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I watch the movie, I enjoy it, and then later on, if the plot doesn't make sense or whatever, for me it's more so character decisions that kind of anger me, because this isn't how somebody would react in this situation.
Yeah,
like this character isn't acting
like a human,
like how they're supposed to. Yeah, like not even how they're supposed to. That makes it sound weird. It's like how we've seen them act up to this point. That doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Story wise, it doesn't make sense. What's going on?
We were talking about this with the short film. The reason the short film that we watched was so good was because everything the character did made sense. Mm-hmm. But then we watched the second one. I'm not gonna name it because no hate, right?
Yeah.
But like it's a horror short film, and this girl was just doing things that made no sense. She heard like a noise from her hallway, and she knew it was a monster, and she decides to like lay down and try to go to sleep. Or like, why would you?
And then pick up the thing again.
The key item.
Yeah, and then pick it up again
and start playing with it, even though you shouldn't be playing with a haunted item.
Or be scared by the notification. I don't remember what exactly happened. I just know it was weird, and I just didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. Your character's got to do stuff that makes sense to make sense. You know?
Yeah. Characters are cool. Characters are fun.
Characters are complicated. Characters are so complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who makes them, and how fleshed out they are, because they're not like people. But making good characters is very complicated for sure.
I saw this this tweet recently about Martin Scorsese. You know Martin Scorsese, right?
If I'm being honest, no,
I don't either.
No.
Right? I old man, right?
Yeah.
But apparently a bunch of people care about him.
Like
right?
He's like a film bro darling.
Very. He's the film bro leader of them. You know what I mean? Like,
is he the one who said like MCU wasn't real?
That's exactly
real.
What he said. That's not real cinema.
Cinema, yeah.
Yeah. That's schlock on a screen. You know.
That's funny.
He recently came out with like a quote where he was like, I recently found out what makes cinema and like how to push the boundaries of it, and now I'm like an old man and I don't have time to like to make the movies that I want to make anymore, you know? What? And I was like, first of all, that sounds so sad. Like he's saying like he wants to push the boundaries of film, right?
Okay.
But he's too old. He's like 78 or something like that.
Oh, so he doesn't
have much time left, is what he said. Like he's like, I can push the boundaries now, but he's like, but I don't have much time left. Which, first of all, old people never push the boundaries with film. They push the boundary in the way that they move the camera like a degree. You know what I mean? No hate, right? All hate. But
all hate.
I don't know. It's just like you'll watch the old things and they'll be like, I'm pushing the boundary with this one. And it's just kind of like the classic film from the 70s they've been making for years. Anyways, I saw a reply to the tweet or the quote that he had. Somebody was like, bro saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and changed his mind. And it had that Danny DeVito gif where he's like, I get it now. I can actually pull it up because I liked it. I can finally show you the gif that I've been talking about for years.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I still haven't seen it. I still do not understand the Danny DeVito thing. What was I going to say? I've never seen that one.
There's a gif, but it's just him crying, and it's like he's watching like a play or something. He's like, I get it now.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't really. I'm not a film bro, you know.
Yeah, I'm not either, which is kind of weird to say because I do short films.
You do films,
and people would be like, "Oh, you're not gonna make it anywhere." Well, probably right, but
I just don't like. I don't like being very pretentious, egotistical.
Yeah,
especially in a field where like you're not the top dog anyways, and like it's just it's you're kind of a joke for lots of people, right? So why would you try and I guess to have like at least some sort of superiority complex where you feel like you have control over at least like some small semblance of your life.
Yeah,
but even then it just to me it's like I don't know.
Art is subjective.
Art is entirely subjective.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I don't get the old people stuff. People like watch like if I'm not mistaken, Scorsese is like one of the last 3. They call him like the great directors or something like that. Like, just from like the past generation.
Yeah.
And I think he's like one of the last 3 alive. Not sure though.
Dang.
I know it's like Wes Anderson, Scorsese, and then someone else probably.
I don't know.
I follow film bros on Twitter.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
I'm just an ignorant zoomer. You know.
Me too.
I'm a normie when it comes to films. Very much a normie. Also music.
No.
Films and like most creative endeavors, I'm not very well versed in. Like even when it comes to like authors and like just novels, right? Books. I'm really only super familiar with fantasy and some sci-fi, and even then, it's only like the big names. Like freaking biggest one that I can think off the top of my head is Neil Gaiman, right? Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett. He made Discworld. He's passed now. He's cool though. He's fun. Just people. Orson Scott Card is a sci-fi one who dealt with like time travel and like fictional science. Awesome. I loved it. I don't remember what it was called, but I think the first one was called I forgot.
The Ender's Game. The 1984.
He did write Ender's Game.
Did he really?
Orson Scott Card wrote Ender's Game. I never read Ender's Game. Off the dome, dude.
I read
awesome.
it.
Did you like it?
I didn't finish it. It was like assigned reading for school. I read like the first half, and it's kind of like okay, so they're like training kids to be like war generals from birth, right?
Okay.
Because they're like, we have to make like they're fighting an alien race, I think. And the alien race is just they live longer, so they, more experience. But they're like, if we train children from birth, we can turn them into the perfect war generals. Not soldiers, but like generals to control the war, right? Strategies.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a bunch of kids in VR for most of the book that I read, and they're kind of just training, It was interesting because it's kind of like that question of like, do we let them be kids?
Is it like ethical?
Yeah,
like kind of like
I guess like, are the kids taking it seriously too? Like what is the punishment? Like these kids are gonna end up killing millions, and
like to a smaller degree, even though not really, because the fate of the entire world is kind of in their hands, like the 14-year-olds from Ava.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, actually, pretty much. But like, I don't know. It was an assigned reading, so you know me. I was like, I fell asleep. It was from what I read. I don't remember it being like bad, but I don't really read books.
I figured out what the other one was called. Pathfinder. It has a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, and 95% Google users like this book.
So you said you don't know authors, but you do. Like this guy's like a classic. Ender's Game is considered a classic.
Yeah. I never read Ender's Game. I never really took an interest in like, I guess the theming of it, or like from what I'd seen. But that's I think it's 2 books in that series, Pathfinder and then Ruins, I believe. It deals with time travel. It deals with all this kind of stuff. Really fun. I genuinely very much enjoyed that book, or that duology.
Yeah.
Christopher Paolini, obviously, right? Inheritance Cycle. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Don't know much about him, but I know his books.
Yeah. I don't want to say your name.
Why not?
Turf.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What's her face? Let's talk about Suzanne Collins and the GOAT, right? She is the GOAT.
What makes her the GOAT? I'm a little.
She didn't milk her series dry, her Hunger Games series.
Didn't she make another one?
Yeah, she made her trilogy, but then she waited like, I think it was like a bunch of years.
Yeah.
Because like,
but to be fair, she did make a boatload of money off of the movies.
Oh, for sure. I mean, but that's kind of like your right. You should use your God-given right to your copyright to make movies.
To make film adaptations.
Yeah, even if they're bad. You know what they do in Japan? They make animes to promote the manga, to promote the book. It's kind of weird. True. We do the opposite here. We use the books to promote the movie.
Yeah, except for like Star Wars. I think the Star Wars novels were written after the film, because the film like itself was just like like a George Lucas just like, hey, let's make a freaking space.
What if they had lightsabers? What if they had plasma blades?
Yeah, plasma blades, right? Let's do this. And it turned out very good, and has built a freaking huge franchise.
Yeah,
that is now owned by one of the largest corporations in the world. But we'll just ignore that for now.
Yeah, but Suzanne Collins waited till she had another idea for a book. She even said it. She was like, yeah, I didn't want to just put stuff out there for money, so she waited, and that's why Song of the Mockingbird, I think it is.
The
book. No, it's becoming a movie now.
Really? I think it's called Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
The Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. Yeah, it's now becoming a movie. Yeah.
Huh. Cool.
But I think she said that's gonna be her last thing, like in the Hunger Games universe in general. It's a prequel, so nothing really new.
That's true.
I mean, I guess new. I don't know. You know what I mean?
New, like adds extra context to the world, I guess. But in terms of
it's just
the story, not a continuation. Because I don't remember how Mockingjay ended. It's
you
been a
don't
while.
remember how Mockingjay ended.
You know what? I don't even think I ever read Mockingjay.
World Peace. That's how it ended.
World Peace. I
The
read.
Hunger Games was over.
Let's go.
Nobody was hungry anymore.
Yeah, no one was hungry. I read Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and then I watched the films obviously when I was younger, and then Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. But I don't even remember the endings, like I said. So World Peace, good. That's a good ending.
Yeah.
Happy face emoji.
for
You
them.
know.
She's a better woman than me, right? Because if I was her, I would have milked Hunger Games so hard. They have like, is this like the 50th something Hunger Games in that world, right?
Yeah,
that
it's
Katniss was in 54th, right?
75th.
75th Hunger Games, right?
75th is the third quarter quell.
If I was her, I would have been like, yeah, you can make like 75 other movies in the previous Hunger Games. Like, I would have watched it too. I would have sat there and been like, wow, I just want to watch people kill each other.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it would kind of defeat the purpose of the movies because we don't want to see that. But like, we kind of do,
Well,
like,
I don't really want to.
I think the drama is interesting. Like seeing somebody get taken from their home and just put into an arena and be like, yeah, all these other people were taken from your home, except for like maybe like 4 of them. They trained for this.
I do think the dynamic, because wasn't it like inspired by Battle Royale?
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah.
I do think the concept of having people from all these different backgrounds, which like was done like pretty well. What was that? Oh, I think it's the washer starting up.
Yeah.
Have people from all these different walks of life, which she did really well, just because it's like, we just make districts where they have fishing people and mining people and whatever, right?
And the more you win, the more food you get. But the rich get richer,
Yeah. Well, the poor stay poor. Who would have thought?
Who
Anyways,
would've thought?
yeah. What kind of system would allow for that? That seems awful.
Right?
I do think it was done very well, and I do think it's a very cool premise because you just have all these people with different motivations, with like families and with all these things. Killing each other for only like one to survive. And I mean, obviously, like Hunger Games, like twist that a little bit where it's like, I won't kill him.
Yeah,
I won't kill her or whatever.
We'll kill each other. We'll kill ourselves.
We'll both, and nobody will win. And it's like, oh my god, we can't have that happen.
Yeah, at first they're like, go ahead, and then like they think about it and they're like, never mind. Actually, hang on.
Yeah. Because the whole like love story and like everybody's invested now, so it'd be riots and like there'd be like this disarray in the entire nation, which kind of smart.
Yeah,
very smart. But
yeah, so no, I mean, I understand. It would have gotten repetitive. Like, it's not a good idea for the franchise to survive as a whole.
Yeah.
Because, like, in all reality, it'd be like Saw or something. Like, it's the same exact thing every single time.
But it's the smartest move financially.
Definitely the smartest move financially. And honestly, I am such a brainless entertainment fan. I would watch it. I'd at least watch like 2 of them.
At least 2 more.
Maybe after like if the second one was just complete booty, I'd be like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, they seem kind of interesting. They seem okay,
The past Hunger Games, or you just like the Hunger Games in general?
Well,
like
they talk about the past Hunger Games in like the
they
first
do,
movie.
and they seem like they add they add like depth. They're like, oh, this person's like, or the second one, Catching Fire, is where like the quarter quell, like the previous winners of the past ones.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like, oh, this person won by just like hiding and outlasting everybody, and this person freaking
brutalized everyone.
Yeah, like they literally use their claws and their teeth to like tear out people's throats and everything, right? So it's like it was cool, and it's like, oh, I wonder what that one looked like or whatever.
Yeah, I'm surprised there were no like amputees or anything in the quarter quell, if that makes sense. Like nobody like
people who were like terribly scarred from fighting.
Yeah, everybody who made it was pretty unscathed.
To be fair, it's because other districts did have multiple winners to choose from, right?
That is
because
true.
They just randomized all the winners. District 12 though, they didn't have very many winners. That was kind of their whole thing. So it's Katniss is guaranteed to go, and then it was between Peeta and Haymitch.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay.
Peeta was like, round 2.
Yeah. He's like, I'm ready. I volunteer as tribute instead of Katniss this time. Like,
and then we're both going to kill ourselves at the end again.
We both volunteer at this point. Yeah. It was cool. Fun. It was a cool series. I was that the one that kind of sparked that whole like YA, or was it just like kind of a symptom of like the early 2010s like young adult dark urban fantasy like craze?
I don't know. I feel like they've always been around. But I think that did spark a craze for young adult novels, like romance novels specifically, which is so weird because those books aren't really focused on the romance too much. They shouldn't be. A lot of people focus on it, but I don't think they should be focused on it. It's kind of like a side thing,
I think the films like maybe contributed to that in terms of like emphasizing the romance aspect a little more.
But even the films didn't really like like even in the films, Katniss is kind of like I'm doing my own thing. Like I mean, in Mockingbird, like they play it up and she starts falling in love. And I think they do it really nicely. I feel like book adaptations or movie adaptations of books always focus on romance over anything else. And maybe it's just because it's like marketable, right?
It is very marketable.
But I just think that's so silly. Like,
especially for a young adult audience, like a young, like teens.
yeah.
Because it's just like, oh my god.
They're very like,
yeah.
they're very woman focused, aren't they? Because like, I'm trying to think of like a young adult book for a male. Other than like a comic book, you know?
I mean, I still read them.
I mean, yeah. I still watched the movies. I didn't read them.
I've read lots of books that have like, I guess, like, you know, that were like urban fantasy kind of in that time. I read the Hunger Games, except I didn't read Mockingjay, but that's because I think I got sidelined with the Divergent franchise, which kind of like piggybacked off of the success of Hunger Games.
What do you think of Divergent? I got some opinions on that one.
I don't remember when were the books written. I don't know when the books were
2014 was the original book, I think.
The original one. So it was already post Hunger Games, like
Hunger Games was released first, which is I remember because I was like, this is just kind of like Hunger Games, different, you know. I'll look it up while you could talk about.
Yeah, I think depending on when the first book was written, I view it as okay. Like
the movie was made in 2014. The book was originally made in 2011. That's the first one.
When was the first Hunger Games book written?
Probably
because
like 2008.
2000. Yeah, that would make sense. I guess.
Let me look it up.
Looking it up. Boop, 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 boop. Using advanced searches. Talking to ChatGPT.
Book release date.
Let's chat GPT it.
2008.
2008. Okay, that makes sense. Freaking mid financial crisis, mid recession.
Obama.
Yeah, like the entire U.S. was turning into District 12.
Oh, Bob, can I get the Hunger Games? We can't afford to feed ourselves tonight, Jimmy.
Funny thing about that. Whenever I mention like the whole recession stuff, or like whenever I hear about other people talking about it, other people are like, "Oh yeah, you know, I was a kid and I mean I never noticed anything like wrong or whatever, but like my parents, you know, must have been like so stressed for it. Like my parents like admitted to me later that they were super stressed or whatever. I've brought it up to my parents like, "Oh, you know, like how are you guys or whatever," and they're like, "Oh,
I was chilling."
Yeah, we were like, it didn't really. I don't even remember that. Like, it was so traumatizing that your brain blacked it out.
Fear mongering.
No, I'm not. No, they did. Their first house, the one that I like grew up in, was it was a converted garage. My grandpa converted their old garage into a house for us to live in.
Okay.
So, you know, maybe that was part of it since it was like mainly affecting the housing market, right? And since they didn't like have to buy it or anything, I guess that was part of why. And besides, they were also both government employees, so they didn't have like jobs like tied to like different industries or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess that would make sense. Yeah, I'm a CIA op. Both my parents work for the government.
You're a Fed agent here.
Yeah, teacher and postman. I'm a Fed. You know,
can't trust them. Anyways, Divergent.
Divergent, yes. I think it was very smart. I think it was a very smart, not insidious per se, but very like clever use of many different young adult tropes where they used the Harry Potter thing where it was 4 different houses, but it was 4 different societies.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Then they used like the Hunger Games Maze Runner-esque like fight for your life. There's like, you know, different sections, different groups where like they have different roles and
you gotta brawl the other.
And like you have to fight and like, you know, you're dauntless, right? You're like tough and whatever. And, and it's just
the green ones had it the best though, not gonna lie. Like they got to live a life of peace. You know?
Honestly, oh my god.
They were like farmers.
To be just a simple freaking peaceful
green one
farmer. Yeah.
I don't even remember their names.
I am but a simple farmer tending to my memes. Dude, that's like a 7-year-old meme now. Jesus Christ. It's so old. Anyways, yeah. I think the very clever use of all these different tropes led to a fine story, just like a very basic, very like cookie cutter young adult story, but it used like the most enticing aspects of all of them, the romance, the love triangle kind of deal, the everything, right? It was so smart.
I don't fit in with this society.
Yeah, it was so smartly made. And part of me, because at the end of the day, it's just an author and they were just getting the bag, right? Respects it.
Yeah.
But then also it's like, it's not, who am I to say it's not like real art whenever art is subjective anyways? It's just not like, it feels a little like more cash grabby, like a little more soulless, especially the film adaptations, because that was like a very like,
the film was just a straight up romance movie.
It was just romance with like, you know,
That's one of the biggest examples I could probably think
Yeah,
of.
not even. I mean, it did adhere to the books somewhat. It's
Yeah.
been a while.
It got the main plot points. I
It
guess.
did get the main plot points. It just wasn't. I think it's because the book itself didn't have much identity in its own right.
I disagree. I think the first Divergent had enough identity for a first
No,
book.
the first one, that's fine,
Yeah.
right? But as the books progressed
Mhm.
or whatever, and also like the films progressed along
Yeah.
with it,
Yeah.
it just kind of got very like stale almost.
Definitely.
And I think by the end of the last one, it was already kind of like the young adult fantasy, the urban fantasy scene was already kind of dying out, anyways.
Mhm.
Oh, Twilight also helped a lot with it.
Oh,
Twilight
Twilight
helped
was like
kickstart it.
way before, right?
It
That was
did-
like in the
yeah,
2000s.
But it like planted the seeds.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I just think by the end of it, people were a little tired of it, even though they did make a sequel, and it was like I think I was in 6th grade whenever Divergent was like super popular. I read all the
Yeah.
books, as I said earlier, right? I was a sucker for young adult urban romance fantasy.
Yeah.
I read Hunger Games. I did not read Twilight. Never read Twilight. I didn't watch the movies either. But Divergent, freaking more recently, I read the entire like Shadowhunters library.
Mhm.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Think teenagers, right?
Okay.
Teenagers, very just freaking pretty teenagers, I guess, is
Okay.
like how they'd be portrayed in the books.
Mhm.
Yeah, with like dark brooding pasts and backstories
Yeah.
or whatever.
Like Shadow the Hedgehog, pretty much.
Shadow the Shadow the Hedgehog, but human.
Yeah.
And that's all of them fighting. That have like the blood of angels in them. Kind of, they're like descendants of like
Oh, it's like okay. I get the vibe. I think.
fighting demons, and that's like the demons do play a major part in the story, but it's also about just like evil humans collaborating with demons and stuff or whatever.
It's like you just described us, like
Yeah.
our whole storyline. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Nice looking teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
I got the blood of angels.
Blood of angels.
Brooding. You
Yeah.
know, we fight demons in our
Exactly.
pastime.
We do, and so I read that, and whenever I read that, I kind of got hooked on it because it's just like the romance does play a very major part in like it plays a very major role in the story, which could be a huge turnoff to some people, but for me, I don't really care. Like,
No, I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
It's cathartic. you know?
It's also like not. It's not a very deep story. It's very surface level, and it's
Mhm.
just easy to like. It was very easy to kind of just shut my brain off and enjoy teenagers fighting friggin' demons.
Yeah.
And that's it, because they wrote that original series, and I think there was like a Netflix show adaptation, and I think an attempt at a movie maybe, but neither of them were like super well received. And also, I've just never seen them. I never took an interest because I preferred, for many books, I prefer just like having an image, like a mental image of the characters in my head, and not
Mhm.
having that taken away by
Yeah.
by-
A
yeah.
visible thing.
by like a live action film
Mhm.
portraying like actors portraying it. Which no issue with that at all. It's just, especially for this series and the time that I found out about the shows to when I was like reading the series and like very invested in it.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it.
I get you.
Also, it just wasn't really well received, so whatever. But yeah, so it's just pretty teenagers fighting demons and stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah.
I had a good time because they made that original series, then they did a sequel series, I believe, which takes place with like characters who were kids back in the original series who are like now grown up, and like it's their
okay.
own kind of role, and like the main characters who've survived, I won't say
Who survived?
who survived, like kind of take a backseat and play a more minor role. Like they're still
Mhm.
active in the actual story to a certain extent because they're still alive and present. They just take like a more minor role. And then there was like another series, a prequel series, but not even a prequel series, a series that takes place in the 1800s,
Oh wow.
like Victorian era England.
Like a super prequel.
Yeah, like a super like they have like the same last names and like are like the ancestors of some of the people, like from the original series, but completely different characters, and it's like its own kind of like you have to save the world story and whatever.
Yeah.
Cool, fun, like very enjoyable. But I read all those, and I'm just a sucker for young adult urban fantasy, I
No,
guess.
I mean it makes sense.
Big robots fighting in young adult urban fantasy. How
That's-
awesome would it be
If we could combine
if you
them.
could combine the two?
Neon Genesis.
Neon Genesis. To a certain extent, I guess.
Yeah, to an extent.
But like
Little dark, little brooding, little
Yeah.
teenager.
a little less, because I mean I'm not a big anime
Angel
person,
blood.
right? I'm not a big anime person. If it was
Mhm.
just like if it was just a different piece of media, I think it would like elevate it for me.
Hmm. They got a manga,
They do have a manga.
and the manga actually has a happy ending.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. I think.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I remember right, the manga has a happy ending.
Yeah. I just think if it was like either like a book of like young adult urban fantasy with big mechs fighting each other,
Mm.
or just something related to the two, like like a film or like a just a freaking cartoon or whatever. That's
Yeah.
just like less a little anime-y, I guess for me.
Mhm.
No shade, anime fans.
Of course,
Because
of course.
anime's cool, right? I think I've been a little oversaturated with very cutesy
Mm.
Eastern Asian like aesthetic things.
Yeah, kawaii.
Yeah, kawaii, right? I don't know. I think I would love that. It's just it's such a I have two of my favorite things ever.
It makes sense.
Regardless, freaking Divergence, okay.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, Divergence, okay.
I will never forgive the author for what they did in the third book. Like I read all the books, right?
Yeah, and the third book's the final one, right?
The third book,
Allegiant.
yeah. I mean, if it isn't the final one, I'm not gonna read the last one, right?
The sequel they made, I think maybe it was a prequel. It was called 4, and it was based off of like the
it's based off the
fourth
character. It's
Yeah.
a prequel. Him.
Yeah.
But I read one. I thought one had some good roots. I was like, oh, I could see this story like growing into something big, right? 2 was like not filler, but I feel like a lot of it was filler. But like there was some good plot, and I was like, okay, we're building up to something, right?
Yeah.
Like it was like the downfall of society. Like we're gonna take it down from the inside, torturing people and all that. And then the beginning of 3. Have you read 3 or seen the movie 3?
I know the ending because I did read the book. I didn't watch the movie.
In the first few scenes of the book, they are in a car, and it's completely different from 2. Like the ending of 2, it's like a whole time skip, right? They're in a car flooring it outside of just like flooring it to the desert, right? You know how they were like, oh, we're the only thing left of humanity, and there's like poison gas outside the dome or something.
Okay.
They drive out of the dome, and there's like whole labs of people just studying these people. Nothing they knew was real. It's all the Matrix. It's all and like I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I was like, you're setting up.
Yeah.
I was like, that's why I was like, the third book is trash. I was like, you're setting up for like such a cool kind of finale, and then like, it's literally the beginning of the third book's like, psych, we're not doing that. Nothing was real.
It kind of took
you were all in a petri dish.
It took the Maze Runner, like, we live in the maze, we live in the glade,
Yeah.
and then break out of that and like find there's a whole other world to explore, or like like a much like deeper conspiracy going on. But for its entire series, like that takes place in the first Maze Runner. And
Yeah,
then, like,
I mean, it makes sense in
like
that one.
The Scorch Trials, and then like the Death Cure or whatever. Like it's like, okay, you're dealing with the actual real world. Go to realworld.com
to break out
to break out of the of the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
To join a pyramid scheme. That's not a pyramid scheme. That was started by a sex trafficker.
Of course. Why wouldn't you want to
Definitely
join that?
Yeah.
My kid's role model.
My kid's role model. Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's just like they did it in the finale of the beginning of the finale. It basically, the reason I didn't like it was because it felt like the first 2 books were just a waste of my time. I could have started at the 3rd book, and it wouldn't have made any difference at all.
That's true.
Like I would have read the 3rd book, and I might not have known the characters, but like I would have caught on. And the plot is it's just like a solo book. It feels standalone.
And then the ending. Spoilers for a book that was
the end
that came out like many years ago. At this
Everybody's divergent. There were no real cliques. We just put people in.
Yeah.
You know.
And also the main character, I forgot her name, like kills herself. Dies.
Yeah.
She doesn't like, she sacrifices herself, kind of like just ends up dying anyways.
Yeah.
Which is very, I'm not opposed to the idea of like, main characters dying or whatever, especially even like the main character to a certain extent.
It was just so predictable though.
It was, yeah.
Like I feel like you knew from like the 2nd book, like the middle of the 2nd book, and then like it really makes it obvious in the 3rd one, But I don't know, it's just like they just kind of ruined everything they had. Like the whole Divergent thing and like the whole 4 clans was never real. It was just kind of like guessing, And then like it would just throw you in. Like nobody really belonged, apparently, is what they said. They would
society.
It was like society. You would just kind of conform to whatever society you were put into. We live in a society.
We live in a society.
If you were daunting, you had to be angry all the time. And adrenaline junkies, jumping on train cars. It was goofy.
It was pretty goofy, but it was, it was a product of its time.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what it was? I remember now. I remember the exact plot point. Divergent people were a test to see if they could break out of society. That's what it was.
Divergent people or Dauntless?
No, divergent people. Because the girl was divergent. She was like multiple things.
Oh yeah.
They were divergent. The divergent people were like a test for something. It was like if they could break out of society or like tear down society's norms or something like that. It was so silly. I was like, wow. You know how many Divergent people got like cast out of society and like tortured and
Yeah,
killed?
yeah, yeah.
You know, it was all just a joke, guys. You know,
Society.
we were kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what?
Go read Hunger Games if you're
Go
gonna
read
read
Hunger
Divergent.
Games. Yeah.
Skip
If,
Divergent.
if you want your young adult urban fantasy fix, just if you haven't yet, read Hunger Games.
The Maze Runner. What was the book you said?
The Shadowhunter series.
Shadowhunter
That's
series.
like 6 books long though.
That's
So-
perfect. It could replace the other 6 or like 9 book series that we're not going to talk
Yeah.
about.
Oh, true. No, but that's the one that got me started on reading. Right?
Yeah,
She sucks.
definitely.
She just sucks.
Do not support her.
Yeah.
You know who? She who shall not be named.
She who shall not be named. Yeah.
Mhm.
Even though I'm gonna go to Harry Potter World this summer.
Are you- we're like, don't support her as I'm wearing Disney merch.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not owned by Disney though. It's owned by Warner Brothers.
This?
No. Marvel's owned by Disney, but
Oh,
the
what?
Harry Potter franchise is owned by Warner Brothers.
I'm thinking of Universal. That's right. Yeah.
Universal.
Yeah.
So I am gonna go to Harry Potter World at Universal Orlando this summer.
Yeah.
I'm already at Universal. The Harry Potter World's it's a part of it. I'm gonna be there. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's too late to change it now.
But I mean, like, who cares? She's making still like a boatload of money off of royalties. So
Oh,
like
sure.
like I said in like one of the older episodes, like, people trying to boycott Hogwarts Legacy. It's not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
She's already made all her money, and like
You're only hurting the developers.
yeah, only hurting the developers. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna go. I'm sorry, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry.
You liberals can. Never mind. I don't know.
if
Something along. You can finish the joke.
you want to
on
get educated, join the real world.
yeah, jointherealworld.com, breakoutthematrix.com.
Exactly.
You know where to find us.
Yeah, formerly Hustlers University.
Yeah, divergent.com if you want to get out of your dauntless and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, I guess we'll wrap up the episode.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Be a good person. Be nice. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, unless you hate yourself, in which case treat them better than you would treat yourself. Okay?
Exactly. Amen.
Just be nice. Be a good person. Be normal. No, don't be normal, because that sounds bad. Just be nice. Okay. That's all I have to say. Anything
Yeah.
else?
No, treat yourself right.
Yeah.
Y'all look out for yourselves. It's
Exactly.
warm. Wear sunscreen.
Wear sunscreen, and if you live in Southeast Texas, freaking I don't know, man.
Drink a lot of water.
Turn on your air conditioning.
Sweaty
Sucks
season
out here.
begins.
Yeah. Soggy boys.
Yeah.
Soggy boys out. Goodbye.
Bye.